I've never told anyone this story before, but I think about it all the time. It happened 2 years ago, and to this day, I still get chills when I remember it. It all started when my cousin Cody came to stay with me for 3 days. His parents were going out of town for a wedding, but Cody refused to go because he was terrified of planes. So my aunt and uncle asked if he could stay at my place. I didn't really want him there, but I couldn't say no. I never got along with Cody. Even when we were kids, he was always weird. He never talked much, and when he did, it was about strange things. He liked to collect dead bugs, sit in dark rooms, and sometimes I would catch him just staring at people for too long. Something about him always made me uncomfortable. I got home from work around 9 p.m. Cody had been alone in my apartment all day. When I walked in, he was sitting on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen. He didn't even turn to look at me. I sighed and went to my room to change, but when I opened my closet, something felt off. Some of my clothes were missing. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe I forgot to do laundry. Maybe I left them somewhere. But as I looked around, I realized it wasn't just one or two shirts. Entire outfits were gone. I asked Cody about it, but he said that he knows nothing. The next morning, I woke up and my clothes were all back. Everything was in its place, folded just like I had left them before. Cody acted normal, or at least as normal as he could. He ate breakfast in silence, barely moving, just chewing slowly while staring at the wall. I had to work again, so I left him there alone for another day. The same thing happened. I got home late, and Cody was sitting on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen. Again, he didn't acknowledge me. And again, my clothes were missing. I wanted to confront him, but something about him made my stomach feel sick. He wasn't just weird, he was wrong. I decided to lock my bedroom door that night. When I woke up the next morning, everything was back in my closet, perfectly folded. This was the night I will never forget. I woke up at 3 a.m. My mouth was dry, so I got up to get some water. As I walked past the living room, I stopped dead in my tracks. Cody was sitting on the couch, facing the TV, but the TV wasn't on. He was just staring at the black screen. He wasn't moving. He wasn't blinking. I stood there, frozen. My whole body was screaming at me to run, but I couldn't move. The room felt ice cold. I ran back to my room and locked the door. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. At 8 a.m., I heard a knock on the door. I jumped up, my heart racing. When I looked through the peephole, I saw my aunt and uncle standing there. I let them in without saying a word. Cody was already dressed and ready to leave. He didn't say goodbye. He just walked out with them like nothing had happened. I don't talk about this often, but I still think about it sometimes, especially on rainy nights. It happened 7 years ago when I was 20, and to this day, it remains the creepiest experience of my life. It was late October, and the rain had been falling all day. My parents and little brother were leaving to visit my grandparents for the weekend, but I wasn't feeling well, so I stayed behind. Honestly, I didn't mind. Our house was always noisy, and I rarely got any time alone. This was the perfect chance to relax, watch Netflix, and just enjoy the silence. A few hours after they left, I started feeling better and decided to call my best friend, Katie. I figured we could have a little girls' night. Katie left around 10 p.m. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and I was getting sleepy. I locked all the doors, turned off the lights, and got ready for bed. That's when I heard it. Knock. At first I thought I imagined it, but then it happened again and again. Someone was at my door. The knocking wasn't loud or frantic. It was slow, steady, and unrelenting. Finally, I took a deep breath and cracked the door open, just enough to see who it was. Eric, my 55-year-old neighbor. I barely knew him. He lived alone in the house across the street, and I had never spoken more than a few words to him. But I had noticed the way he looked at me. He stood there in the dim porch light, his face blank. He told me, if you need anything, just call me. I didn't reply. I didn't even nod. I just shut the door and locked it. I barely slept that night. The rain had stopped by morning, and I decided to go for a run. Running helped clear my mind, and I needed that after what had happened. As I stepped outside, I noticed something strange. The street was empty. No people, no cars, nothing. It was eerily quiet. But what really caught my eye was Eric's house. His front door was wide open. Something about it made my stomach turn. I knew I should ignore it, but my instincts told me to go inside. I stepped through the doorway, and the first thing I noticed was how cold it was. The living room was a mess. I shivered. There was no sign of Eric. Then I saw his phone lying on the kitchen table. The screen was cracked, but it was still on. I picked it up and swiped through the photos. My breath caught in my throat. Hundreds of pictures of me. My hands started shaking. I dropped the phone and ran out of the house as fast as I could. When my parents came back later that evening, I told them everything. They called the police, and when they searched Eric's house, they found more than just photos. There were notebooks filled with writing, pages and pages about me, about where I went, what I wore, and describing me in very inappropriate ways. The police searched for him, but he had vanished. His car was still in the driveway. His wallet and phone were in the house, but there was no sign of him. To this day, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he ran away. Maybe something else happened. But one thing is certain. He had been watching me for a long, long time.